This is Joe Eisma at Free Comic Book Day at Heroes Landing in Clermont, Florida, May 4th, 2013. Joe Eisma, the artist of Morning Glories.
Right.
Cool. Joe, tell me about yourself. How'd you get into the comic book industry?
Well, I mean, I was always drawing when I was younger, so it was just kind of a beginning of like a lifelong love of comics. Kind of gave it up around high school and went to college for something else, and kind of got stuck in a rut. And a few years ago, around 2005, I started to pursue comics again and worked at it. Had my first work published in 2008. Started Morning Glories the next year, and it's been published since 2010, and that was kind of how I broke in.
Okay, what was your first work? What was your first?
The first book I did was called A Dummy's Guide to Danger, Lost at Sea.
Okay.
Which is published by a small publisher, Viper Comics. It was kind of a comedy/crime story about a detective with a ventriloquist dummy as a partner.
Oh, awesome! That sounds really cool.
It's kind of weird.
Huh. Okay. And in between that and Morning Glories, did you work on anything else? What else have you worked on?
Yeah, I worked on a book called Serpo for Devil's Due before they went under. It was kind of a science fiction book. I did a superhero book called We the People for a defunct publisher called Outlaw Entertainment. And that was really the last stuff that I'd done before starting at Morning Glories.
Cool. Now you said that you, when you were younger, you were always drawing, and then you, I guess you kind of took a break. What brought up? Did you just decide you wanted to get back into? Did you just start drawing one day? How did you, how did you get back into? I guess the drawing,
Well, like I said, I kind of stopped drawing in high school because it started to take too long to draw, and I was more interested in girls and guitars. So I just drifted away from it for a while. But then after getting out of grad school, kind of hitting a rut with my work, I just decided that I would give comics another shot. And I remembered my childhood dream was to be an artist and work in a studio. And now I'm an artist and I work out of my home office. So basically, kind of achieved that goal.
What you wanted, yeah. Awesome. Okay. Tell me. So how did you get Morning Glories going? How did you jump onto that? What was the process of Morning Glories?
Like I said, Nick Spencer, the writer, had seen some of my art online and sent me a message saying, "Hey, I've got a pitch. It's Runaways meets Lost. Would you like to read it?" And I almost said no, but I was intrigued enough, and I read the first issue script, loved it. This was summer 2009. We worked on the pitch of like 12 pages and pitched it to Image at San Diego Comic-Con that year, and they picked it up, but they held it for release until 2010. So yeah, it was a really quick process once we got started. Work on character designs, fleshing out the world and everything, and then we just did the pitch sequence, and that was it.
So how did the transfer from script to artwork? How does that work? Did you just visualize the characters and just drew them up and sent them to Nick Spencer, and he said, "This is how it goes," or is that how it pretty much works?
Yeah. When we started this, he had some preliminary designs in mind, and in fact had been working with cover artist Rodin Esquejo for a few designs. So we kind of mixed and mashed both designs. He would tell me things like if he saw a certain actor as a character to kind of lead the direction of the style or whatever. But yeah, and then from there we would just work on. I would take the script and do layouts, send them off to him for approval, and then do the final line renderings, and yeah, that was basically it.
Okay. When I read Morning Glories, it seems to me like it could be a TV show or a movie. Have you guys thought on that or talked about it, or has that worked?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
I think we would love it. We would love a TV adaptation. My concern, as always, is the huge cast, because we have when we visit these kids throughout different time periods in their lives, so you have to have several actors for one character. So that's always been like, to them, like, well, maybe that's not doable, but I don't know. There's always hope. We're hoping that some action will happen in that front, in the next, few months or whatever. But nothing we can confirm.
Right. No, I understand that. Okay. Growing up, you said you were always drawing. Were you a fan of comic books, or just into drawing, or what were some of your favorites growing up? Favorite comic books.
I would always get comics at the grocery store, and I would look at the art. Like, I would show them to my sister, and I'd be like, "Hey, check this out," and she would be reading the comic, going, "No, look at the picture. It's cool." So it was Star Wars. The original Marvel Star Wars was my first comic series. But yeah, I mean, I later got into stuff like Uncanny X-Men, the Avengers. I was always more of a Marvel zombie than a DC guy.
Okay.
But yeah, X-Men was really my flagship comic for a long time.
So what do you like? Did you grow up liking drawing? Did you like drawing superheroes more, or like monsters, robots?
It was always superheroes, and it's funny because I have just books and books of my old sketchbooks from my mom's house, and they're filled of just rip-offs of the X-Men, and it's not even subtle, the rip-offs. But that was my thing. I wanted to draw superheroes and X-Men in particular, and then when Jim Lee and all them left to do Image, that was it for me. I was like, okay, I want to do my own superhero book.
Right.
Okay, so,
awesome. Now, so what do you do? I guess when you are not when you have time off, like, you have any hobbies? You do anything?
What time off? No. No, I love going to the movies. Film is, I mean, that's what I went to college for, was I studied film. So I love, we've got a great independent theater up in Dallas where I live. I love going there when I get a chance. Just going out to friends' houses and just not doing anything comic related. Just go barbecue or, whatever, going to a baseball game, stuff like that, to kind of decompress from doing the comics. And when I have the time, I love video games. I love playing my PS3 or Xbox. And now my 4-year-old is really starting to get into games, so and I get a chance to play games with him, that's
awesome.
always fun.
So you're a gamer, so what are you playing at the time? What are some of the games that you're into?
Well, I was always a big JRPG nut back in the day. My favorite game of all time is probably Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
I still have that on my phone.
Oh, awesome.
So, and it was really big into Final Fantasy. I know it's kind of gotten maligned over the years, but I still love it. I still got a soft spot for it. And I love platformers like Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter, a lot of that older stuff. A lot of the newer games I just haven't really got around to yet. I hear lots of good things about different games like Skyrim and so I just haven't gotten around to playing them. I haven't had the time because I'm always drawing.
Yeah, I hear you. It takes a lot of time, yeah. So you do a lot of conventions, I would assume?
Yeah.
Tell me, what are some of the conventions that you've done, and,
I've been doing a lot of them. I always tell my wife that I'm going to cut back every year, but I just don't do it. I've done like Emerald City Con in Seattle. I just came from C2E2 in Chicago last week. I've got Heroes Con in June. Baltimore Comic Con I did last year. That was a really good show. Those are the big shows. Dallas Comic Con, which is where I'm from, is another good show that I do a lot. And San Diego Comic Con, it's okay, but that one's just so crowded, and it's pretty much sensory overload, and if I can avoid that show, I do. So because I prefer shows that are like Heroes Con or Baltimore Comic Con, Emerald City, because they're very much more comic centric.
Have you come to any of the Florida cons yet, or is this your first time in Florida?
I hear good things about MegaCon, but I haven't been, so I've always wanted to, though.
Okay. We've kind of come to the end of the interview. Any last words? Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I would just like to thank everybody for reading Morning Glories and supporting us. We did 26 issues now. It's pretty amazing in this market to make it that long for an independent title. So definitely big thanks to our readers for that and for being so dedicated. And I hope you'll stick around for more.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.